Welcome to Cyphus, where I talk about my passions: video games, military service, my fellow veterans, Star Wars, and Mandalorians. I love everything Mandalorian, can't you tell? Tune in every week to see what games I'm playing and what sets my heart ablaze in the moment. And who knows, maybe one day you too can appear on the show. This channel proudly supports #22kill, a non-profit charity aimed at creating a community that raises awareness and combats suicide by empowering veterans, first responders, and their families through traditional and non-traditional therapies. This channel also supports the royalty-free music of Alexander Hoff, David Fowl, and Dark Cabin Studios. This is Cyphus Space. No apologies, no excuses, no bullshit.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to the video. Welcome back to Cyphus Space. I'm Jarek Cyphus, aka Saggart & Khan. I'm sure you've already noticed a little bit of rebranding here at the beginning, a little bit more intense in nature. There's a couple reasons for that. We'll get into that in a moment. No, actually, you know what? We're going to jump right into it. I have elected to rebrand things a little bit closer to my, I guess, intense, passionate nature, and of course be more in line with the branding that I have on social media, like my Twitter and my Twitch videos and stuff. You know, the whole Skull and Lotus, because the Black Lotus thing I'm gonna get into in a video later, probably next week when we do more Star Wars Galaxies. But I'm trying to unify my brand into one thing now, and the intense, passionate side is from some advice I got from a few viewers who pointed out that I apologized in a couple of my prior videos about the negativity or the anger in relation to my opinions and my emotions. And I learned from that feedback, that I appreciate very much, by the way, that I should never apologize, especially as a veteran, for having opinions or having feelings. It's all too often these days, there's a stigma that if there's any emotional baggage that a veteran has, especially of the male variety, that we're weak or we're somehow too sensitive or whatever. But that's just plain horseshit. I think we all at this point should know better than that. And to followers like Full Metal Boxers and Brother Hal, I thank you for your support and standing by my side to help me kind of be honest with myself so that I can be honest with the people who watch this channel. Secondly, I'm never going to apologize for having an opinion. I have my opinions, you have your opinions. They may not always align, but that's the beautiful thing about discussion. Discourse is a beautiful thing when there is enlightenment between two opinions, even if they differ. Because as long as you're impartial enough to see someone else's point of view, you can both learn a lot about each other. It's when you live in your echo chamber and you have so many walls up that you're not receptive to other people's opinions that you run into conflict. The thing about opinions is they're subjective, they're not objective. There's some bias to it, and you know what? And I have bias because I'm a Star Wars fan. I'm a Lord of the Rings fan. I'm a Star Trek fan. You know, I like science fiction and fantasy. That's pretty much around what my gaming habits are centered. So that's going to be what I'm going to be focusing a lot of my attention on, as well as a lot of my opinions. If I feel like certain developers are trashing on those franchises, I'm going to call them out, like you, Cryptic, for Star Trek Online. But again, at the end of the day, I'm not going to apologize for having an opinion, and I'm not going to apologize for having emotions once in a while, because you know what? Frankly, that's the only way to be open, candid, and honest with yourself and honest with your audience. So between that and unifying my brand, like you saw at the beginning of the video, that's going to be the future of this channel. Now I want to answer another question that I keep getting. Jarek Cyphus, aka also known as Saggart & Khan. Jarek Cyphus, to explain to those who are unfamiliar, Jarek Cyphus is the internet moniker by which I've gone for a very long time, since high school, honestly, since the AOL days. Jarek 301, Jarek Cyphus, different variations of that. And that's because my friend Matt, Brad, and myself in high school, when we were in our manga and anime phase and loving JRPGs and everything, we had created a trio of characters in a simultaneous dystopian, utopian world that I don't want to go into, because I still plan on eventually writing that story one day and reaching back out to those two friends and getting some consultation on how we're going to revive that, because I would very, very much like to offer them royalties if and when I do finish that story and publish it one day. But Jarek Cyphus comes from the very first literature character I ever created. The very first fictional character I ever created was named Jarek Cyphus. He was the main character of the story. Sagardin Khan, who used to be pronounced Sagardin Khan, there's an inside joke to that. There was some guests over at my house when I was young, and somebody, when we were coming up with names for fictional characters that we were creating for role-playing and tabletop gaming, because Corsairs, which is today known as Crimson Skies, was around at the time. It was about 1998. We had this thing going on where we were creating our characters, and somebody had drunkenly slurred something about a cigar on the table, but it sounded like cigared on, and I wrote it out, and that was pretty much the character that stuck. And I was reading a chapter on Jonathan Khan, one of the gangsters in the Crimson Skies universe at the time, and the whole Sagardin Khan at the time stuck, and that's been my, whether it has been in tabletop gaming, Dungeons and Dragons, Pathfinder, or online MMORPGs, or just online gaming in general, Sagardin Khan has been my video game world alter ego. And that's basically your history of the two names / two characters. They both now have their own stories, their own unique universes in which they thrive. Jarek Cyphus, of course, and the manga JRPG inspired novel / novella that I want to write one day is very distinct from Sagardin Khan, because I had a basic background for Sagardin Khan, that he was always kind of a outlaw / mercenary, gun for hire kind of guy, loner, lost his family at a young age, kind of, the orphan story kind of shit. But I never really fleshed out a story for him the way I did when Star Wars Galaxies came out. And as Full Metal Boxers can tell you, I went on a bit of a writing spree, for better or for worse. This is pre-reading Elements of Style, pre-reading On Writing by Stephen King, but I did my best, and my prose, obviously, when I was younger, needed some work, but I was able to flesh out the character in a way that was, I guess, appealing to the people with whom I played games with. They actually kind of liked the backstory to Sagardin Khan, which I don't want to steal thunder from next week's show, and I want to keep this video under 10 minutes if possible. So we'll get into that next week with Star Wars Galaxies, since that's going to be a bit of a longer video, and that's going to cover the history of my time with Star Wars Galaxies, the history of ILM that go along with the Friday feature that's going to come out with SWG Legends, and then we're going to get into the history of Sagardin Khan, and then we're going to wrap it up with a little bit of game industry news. But that's just kind of what I wanted to cover today. It's kind of a candid, not really organized video that I just wanted to throw together real fast on my way home from work to explain the rebranding, and that we're going to kind of unify everything to one look for Patreon, Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, all that stuff. Trying to keep everything looking the same, have a little bit of the retro fun in there, because being a 1980s kid, played a lot of 1980s games. I still play a lot of retro games, and that's not going to change anytime soon. So a bit of a mix of the old and the new will often be seen together to kind of, I guess, round out my brand. So that's pretty much going to be it right now, because I'm going to be pretty busy this weekend. I got a wedding I'm going to on Saturday. I'm going to the bachelor party for said wedding on Friday night, so I won't be putting a video up on Friday. I'm going to try and get it up tonight. It's Thursday. If I can get it up tonight, I will get that video on YouTube as quickly as I can. Otherwise, it'll go up on Sunday, and the next video will be next Friday on the 5th of July, pretty much covering mostly Star Wars Galaxies. So thanks again for all who are tuning in. Thanks everybody for the feedback, and thanks for the Patreon support. Leave a sub, leave a like, leave a subscribe on Patreon. There'll be lots of new content. There'll be a lot of Patreon exclusive content coming out throughout the summer. We're going to be pretty rigid after the 4th of July weekend, back to for Season of the Patriot. Tactical Tuesdays, there'll be some kind of competitive gaming in general. It could be any game really at that point. And then Thunder Thursdays will be War Thunder throughout the summer until a little bit after Labor Day. So couple months worth of exciting high-octane gaming. So I hope to see you all on YouTube and see you all on Twitch. So as always, thanks a lot for your support. Hope to catch you all next time. It's Jarek Cyphus, signing out.